We'll find out after Thanksgiving.
I call this Village of Manan regular council meeting of October the 5th, 2020, 7:30 p.m. to the Manan Community Center. And for prayer, we'll have Councilor Fitzsimmons offer prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity again here tonight. Just thankful that we can get together and just hash things over and talk about things. And we just pray your spirit be upon us here tonight, and that we would just give us the wisdom that we need, and just be with us as we go about the business of the hour. Thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzsimmons. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The weather has been good, but we still need rain before the ground freezes. Fishermen are getting their traps and bait ready for the start of the lobster season. In Area 38, setting day is the second Tuesday of November. I was very disappointed with some of the actions of a few at the September meeting. Let's try to conduct ourselves in a professional manner and be cordial to others. We at times have a difference of opinions, but let's communicate with one another and come to reliable solutions to our problems. The Manan 5 has made it to the dry dock in Newfoundland. I see a picture of it on Facebook. The Adventure had problems, but were corrected in a short time, but still inconvenienced a lot of people. Council wants to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving with family and friends. And Halloween will fall on a Saturday, and it's on our agenda for tonight, and we see how things go. And at this time, we'd like to have people offer their prayers for former Deputy Mayor Robert Moses, who had heart surgery last week. So, the disclosure of conflict of interest. Adoption of the minutes of September the 15th, 2020.
I would move to adopt the minutes of September 15th as presented.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question?
Question, Mr. Mayor. On page 3 of, of the minutes regarding bylaws, the building bylaw, as I recall, and the animal bylaw, as I recall, were tabled until a further meeting where the points brought up by the presentators and the letters could be considered. And that was your suggestion, Mr. Mayor. I see the building bylaw is there, but the animal bylaw is not.
The animal bylaw was from 2 months ago, so if you look in August minutes, that will reflect the animal bylaw.
Yep.
And I can go back and double check the building bylaw for you.
Okay. Enough at this time.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Additions to the agenda. I have an addition which is deluxe office supplies, $2,468.10 from the General Operating Fund.
I I would move to add the aforementioned invoice to the agenda.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That would be 13-2.
13-1.
Uh, 13-1, wasn't it?
So, the next is 7 is the RCMP report, and we have Constable Kelsey Roberts.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. First, I have the occurrences for September 2020. I'll just go through those. 1 break and enter, 1 criminal harassment, 2 fraud under $5,000, 6 mischief, 1 other theft of motor vehicle, 2 assistance files, 2 false alarms, 1 fire prevention act, 1 firearms act, 1 lost and found, 2 false 911, 1 municipal bylaw, 1 suspicious person, 8 quarantine act, 1 failed to remain at a scene of an accident, 9 speeding, 8 other moving traffic, 4 traffic collisions, and 5 check stops for a total of 57.
Did it all happen at night?
Mostly.
Any questions for Constable Roberts?
Just the municipal bylaws, I understand, if I'm misinformed, that the RCMP generally don't enforce municipal bylaws, but there's some exceptions?
If it's called in to us, we will generate a file,
Okay,
and then we will investigate it usually.
okay, thank you.
I don't know the particulars of it, just that it was one.
Just the municipal bylaw, that's what you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough, sir, thank you.
Anything special happening on your end for Halloween? Is there?
Nothing that we know of so
No.
far.
No.
We haven't heard, I guess it is going ahead. We haven't heard any particulars at all from our side.
Right. Not sure if there's still any parents groups or anything that do the walking around late? No. Doesn't happen now.
The province has made some recommendations, but
Right.
other than that, yes.
We do have a new quarterly report that I'll mention as well. I dropped off a copy today. It's our new reporting system, what we're going with. They give up the mayor's report some months ago, the one that we used to make copies of and distribute. And since then, we've just been highlighting the number of calls and just a summary of each. They are going with a document that they're going to be distributing every 3 months, and it has most of the calls for service for the whole district, so Grand Manan, McAdam, St. Stephen, St. Andrews, the whole district, and it just highlights some priorities of the division and also some particulars with the calls for service in this area, and it also gives some comparison for last year and 2 years ago as well. So that's what we're going to be giving out every 3 months, and usually we'll drop by the office here and once we get a copy of it and try to give it a little bit ahead of time. This one here's, we just got it actually, but it is dated. It's from the quarter from April 1st to June 30th. So the next one's probably going to be fairly soon as well.
Any other questions for Constable Roberts?
You said that report doesn't give a breakdown for Grand Manan, it's just the district as a whole?
It does. There's separate pages on it, so it will give the, like it'll highlight, I'll just go to the Grand Manan one.
Okay.
There's McAdam, St. Andrews, every detachment like that's in our district. So Grand Manan, for example, it highlights the calls from April 1st to June 30th, and it'll just highlight property crime such as break and enters, frauds. It'll give a summary of Mental Health Act, crimes against person, drug offenses, and then traffic enforcement. And it'll just give comparison of 2000 and the last 2 years as well. And it just gives, every page is a different attachment just in this district.
Okay.
And they also have started online as well, a daily occurrence report. You can go on our CMP New Brunswick webpage, and then you can also, even up to this morning, I looked there a couple of hours ago, and even as of last night and this morning, it's showing files like through the whole division, so anything particular Graham and Ann's going to be listed there as well. And I think it's updated at least twice a day, and that's for everyone to see, anyone in the province to see.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have the 10-minute open session. Sure.
Everybody knows that my name is Nora Davidson. I'm just here because I'm following up on the bylaws, and I'm hoping to hear what council's deliberations are, since that I'm one of the ones who've been asking questions about some of the provisions in the bylaws, and hoping that the bylaw committee has had a chance to meet, and that maybe they would be able to make public what their findings are, as well as to see what the new, if there are any changes to the bylaws and what those would be. I see that the building bylaw is up for third reading, so I don't know that there's any changes, excuse me. And we're wondering, of course, what's going to happen with the animal control. That's it.
Well, we had planned to have a bylaw committee meeting, but our chairman has been away for 2 weeks or something like that, so.
And he will be indisposed for a couple of months more, so just by lobster time in equivalency, so.
So, as Councillor Morse had mentioned at our last meeting, so we got a letter off to Bill Oliver, who was then the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure. At a recent meeting of the Graham and Ann Village Council, the Graham and Ann Ferry summer schedule was discussed following consultation with Coastal Transport. It was voted unanimously that council support and request extending the schedule by 1 day, beginning in 2021. This would mean the last day of the supplemental crossing would be on Sunday opposed to Saturday. The reasoning behind council's request is partly due to traffic left behind and congestion on Sunday after the weekend. Coastal Transport's traffic logs from previous years have confirmed this. Another concern to council is the years when the Graham and Ann departures for refit following the summer schedule, leaving the Graham and Ann 5 with the overflow of traffic. 1 more day of 2 ferries in operation may help alleviate the traffic surplus off of the smaller vessel. Thank you for your review and consideration in this manner. So we haven't had a reply from anybody in the minister's office.
Before we leave that, Mr. Mayor, did we get a reply to the request for the New Year's Day crossing?
I don't think we did.
Okay. Maybe we should follow up on that at
Yes.
some point. I forgot about it till you were reading that letter, but that's coming.
When is, do you know when the next partnership meeting is?
Be in November?
November,
I'm
I
counting
believe.
correctly.
Yeah.
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 So probably we should get a letter off her.
Yeah.
Do you want to flip something off to Ian
I will put that on my list, yes.
with approval of council?
Of course.
10.1, public engagement in council meetings. Councilor Morse to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just thought with some of the letters we had received over the last little bit, it might be a good idea to talk a little bit about ways the public can engage in council meetings and how we're trying to address some of the concerns people have, particularly during COVID, where we are restricted with the number of people we can have in close quarters. There's been a lot of focus on the 10-minute open session, which of course allows anybody to come in and talk about whatever they would like to council. But I'm not sure that it's well understood that people can also ask to have something added to the council agenda, come in and make a presentation. The benefit to doing that is that it is a little bit more interactive than just a 10-minute open session, because technically we are not supposed to respond during the open session. So if there is a matter of particular concern, I think we would encourage people to have something put on the agenda and come and address us that way, because it does give us an opportunity for questions, for comments, that sort of thing, that we can't necessarily engage in during the open session. We've had some discussion about moving the location of the meetings, but I think the logistics of the cameras, the audio equipment that we have, it really makes it challenging to move to a larger room where maybe the acoustics aren't quite as good as what they are in here. Not that the acoustics are always great in here, but I think that we're getting a lot more people watching the video recordings, particularly while we're going live. And to lose that opportunity, I think that we're giving up something that we've worked really hard to try to provide to the public. So I guess those were really what I wanted to talk about. I'm not sure if anybody has anything else to add. I know we've all spent some time trying to figure out ways that we can make it a little bit more accessible to the public, but I thought in an open forum it would be a good chance to talk about it. So that was that.
So, Mr. Mayor, if memory serves me correctly, when we're talking back over 20 years, the 10-minute open session, it's a great thing. I'm glad it's there. But it wasn't always like when you were on there in '95, Mr. Mayor, when council first amalgamated. So it just kind of gave people a chance to vent, if I may say so, or because unfortunately, as Councillor Morris has said, we can't really answer questions as much as sometimes we desperately want to, but we can't. So, and in all fairness, people who address council, I'm sure they want answers, and council should be prepared to give good answers at the time as well. Also, as well, I strongly encourage anyone at any time to contact any member of their council. They don't just have to talk to council and have council time. I mean, we're all pretty available for the most part, and we don't mind answering questions, no matter how hard they are. So,
Other comments?
I voted the suggestion about using the gym, putting up a screen, putting some audio in there, just as an overflow. That's just a suggestion, and could be used, but I mean, as far as changing our location, I think we should stay here. And but if there is a need, maybe sometimes with the hot topics or something, maybe there is a need to have some more room. And it definitely didn't work having them out in the hall.
yeah.
That's you can't do the 6-foot thing, and you can't.
But however, and it's not ideal. Nobody here around this table would say what we have now is ideal. But on the other hand, I mean, in this COVID-19 world, everything would have to be taken apart, and we all know that the difficulties of taking audio apart and putting it back together again, in order for them to have a quality experience, and I believe the best quality experience is the one that they can do through live stream and such that we're doing right now. As Councillor Morris has said, it's been extremely popular, and I'm glad people take such an interest in what we're doing, actually.
No, it's good that people do take the interest.
But it has its, it has its challenges. Let's put
Oh
it-
yeah, no, for
extreme
sure.
challenges, if I
Yeah.
may say so. Yeah.
But if there ever was, I mean, there is an alternative there if we ever decided we need that.
But say that there was something come up at tonight's meeting, that somebody had a difference of opinion and wanted to express it. they've got 3 weeks to get added to the agenda.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
something we
Speaker.
need to get out there. People need to realize that they do need to contact Amy or whoever at the village office and go that route.
You couldn't have it say that, come in tonight and have it an additional agenda.
Right.
Because it
Right.
doesn't give you any time to get your information, but
Yes.
No, that's right.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with Councilor Morse's remarks.
so anything else you want to add, Councillor Morris?
No, thank you. That was it.
Can we move on to the next thing?
Sure.
Well, that's 10-2, that's the mayor. All I wanted to say is I'm taking it, we're going to have Halloween.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think people need a chance for a break or recreation of some form, and we're very fortunate in this province to have extremely low risk, but still, the reason why we've had it so good is because people are taking proper precautions. So we strongly, I'm sure, encourage everyone to take proper precautions and when they're doing this. So.
Is there anything else that you think council should add to Halloween night, or carry on as usual with caution?
I think we've posted the guidelines the province released last week on our Facebook page, so the only thing I would add would be encourage people to read them and respect the suggestions, so.
Okay, done. 10-3 is dial-a-ride. Councillor Fitzsimmons to update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the last few months, it's been my privilege to get to know a very hard-working group of individuals that have a heart for the people of this community in Charlotte County. Charlotte County Alternative Transportation Association, better known as Charlotte Dial-a-Ride, was designed to improve the quality of life for those most vulnerable in rural parts of the province. Excuse me. Dial-a-Ride has been in operation since September 2005, and any individual with no access to transportation due to affordability or remote location, and those who need help due to disabilities, qualify. If access to transportation is causing you hardship for any reason, we may be able to help. The mission of the CCATA is to provide access to transportation for residents of Charlotte County that is dependable, courteous, safe, efficient, inclusive, and sensitive to the needs of all individuals, and respectful of the privacy of all concerned. The money members save by having affordable transportation enables them to stretch their dollars a bit further. The main goal is to expand our reach to more of those residents needing transportation in remote areas not currently covered by our services for education, work, health related, and drives in order to relieve poverty and lessen social isolation. We've created new collaborations as well, and as expanding on previous connections with community groups. During the last few months, we have provided food hamper deliveries for both the St. George and St. Stephen Food Bank. We are working with businesses and nonprofits, as well as with 17 or more other door-to-door dial-a-ride organizations in the province. We've been able to continue to provide essential medical drives during this time, and we've created a delivery system for groceries and pharmacy items. A new partnership with the Atlantic Superstore is in place. They are covering the delivery fee for any grocery pickups we do for members from their stores. Trips were taken for education purposes, traveling to MBCC, tutoring, after-school activities, co-op, training, health-related drives locally and to specialists in St. John or Quispamsis. Drives to access cancer treatment, dialysis and surgeries, drives to work, job interviews, food bank, to complete personal errands such as shopping for food, paying bills, legal or accounting services,
Also for appointments with social workers and social activities. Several members with disabilities are provided transportation to vocational centers and to Eastern Charlotte Community Living daily for work and training. We have 47 volunteers that have logged over 3,000 hours, and there's 2 staff members. And as of March 31st, 2020, there was 165 members. And during the first quarter of 2020, there was 1,179 trips taken by over 90 members. And if you look at your handouts that I give you, and there's some handouts over here on the end of the table for anybody who wants one, you can see that I have given, in it is given the activity on Grand Manan. You can see, we could see even more activity with more volunteers and us getting the word out that there is an opportunity for people to have affordable and reliable transportation to and from the mainland. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for Councillor Fitzsimmons?
More of a comment than a question. I know we've had discussion at budget time in the past about funding for Charlotte Dial-A-Ride and whether it was being used by Grand Mananders. The stats are shocking to me, like how many people are actually using
I
it.
was
So
quite
it was
surprised,
really,
yeah.
it's good to see the numbers associated with it.
Yeah.
So it's good.
I will further comment on that, Mr. Mayor, that I'm asked enough about it that I actually keep the number in my phone to share
sorry?
with people. Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
good.
yeah.
Okay, then. Island Addiction Services, Councillor Fitzsimmons to update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this is a letter that has been sent out, going in the Island Times. We're trying to get the word out. The letter's titled A Different Approach. And late last year, we made an announcement that we are in the process of trying to establish an active addictive recovery center on Grand Manan to help those suffering from alcoholism and drug addiction. We formed a board of directors and are legally known as Island Addiction Services. We have also achieved credible charitable status and are currently in the process of obtaining a nonprofit tax number. And then come COVID. After much consideration, we have changed our basic plan to one of helping individuals and families seek and obtain access to available services and programs in Atlantic Canada. There are different ways we can be part of assisting recovering families, and we are open to discover where we can open doors that we may have appeared to be closed. Recovery sometimes seems unattainable where doors are closed. Also at this time, we are actively seeking additional board members. If you have a heart for the community service and or recovering persons, we'd love to have you on board. Of course, you can get a hold of Steve Brown or any of the board members. And we've really gone to a place where we want to help the whole family, like not just to find a place for an addict to recover from the addictions, but if there's a family involved, if there's kids involved, there's spouse involved, or whatever, we want to help them out too, Mr. Mayor. So we feel that when somebody goes away to do the recovery, it's a lot easier on them if they don't have to worry about their family back home. We know that can be really hard on somebody, so we're really trying to include the whole family.
Any questions for Councillor Fitzsimmons?
How many is associated with your group at the time, Councillor Fitzsimmons?
Members?
Yes,
So,
for the,
There's 6, I believe.
okay,
6 or
super.
7. Yeah. And we're working with different places all over Atlantic Canada here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So.
Okay, 11-1, Recreation Director's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very light report tonight. I guess we've literally spent every day since our last meeting, about 3 weeks, out in the arena on the ice. Just to give you some, I know how much Councillor Cheney loves these little information tidbits, but at the day's end, we were at our 100th flood, which doesn't mean anything to anybody. But what that works back to is about, we've walked and drugged that sprayer and hose around about 200,000 feet, which is about 61 kilometers. I know Councillor Cheney loves it. Anyway, with that being said, we still aren't quite ready yet. We're still waiting on our Zamboni to come back up out of the shop. There's been some unforeseen circumstances delaying the repairs for that. Hoping to get it back in the next couple of days. Potentially, if we get it back, we could be looking at having the ice ready and opening up mid to late week this week. I did manage between floods to write 3 COVID-19 operational plans. I did hand one out this evening with the arena for a chance for everyone to look at. If you read through it, I think one change that I will be making right off the start is in the current phase 1 of the opening plan. We made reference to not having the dressing rooms open. I think now with Premier Higgs making the mask mandatory, and as well as there's some information coming down from Hockey Canada with regards to safety and bringing your kids in your vehicles with their equipment on with seat belts and car seats. So I think we'd all agree we want the kids to be as safe as we possibly can. So I think with that in mind, I think when we open the door, I think we'll have the dressing rooms open. We will remain with the mezzanines and warm rooms closed for now. I think our main goal right now is to get the door open, get the kids and the user groups on the ice. The warm rooms are mainly for parent comfort. At this point, isn't one of the top priorities, but it's something we will look at once we move to our second or third phase, depending on where we are at the time with COVID. If anyone has any suggestions after you read through it, if things that should be changed or suggestions, we'll certainly take them. We've also got, of course, the minor hockey plan has been written, and also I wrote a tentative plan for the adult rec groups as well. We have meetings scheduled this week with all of those groups just to kind of go over the arena plan, as well as discuss each individual group that will have to have their own plan. Looking forward to hopefully opening up in the very near future. Well, the new outdoor court is finally complete. I think the fence guys left Friday morning 9:30, and I think the pickleballers were on there at 9:32. So they've been very eager, which is great to see. They're all ecstatic about the new facility. Hopefully they'll get a few weeks out of that before they get driven out from the cold or the snow. One thing that did come up, a little bit of a concern with that, once they get in there and get playing, is it seems like the fence, the proximity of the fence to the service line between the pickleball court and the basketball court doesn't seem to be where they thought it would be. It seems like it's a little bit too close. So I know Councillor Cheney was over there doing some measurements as well, trying to come up with a plan how to move forward with that. If that's something we need to look at, possibly moving a little bit to help them out. Other than that, like I said, everybody was completely ecstatic about having those kind of courts on the island. But one other topic that has come up a lot in the last few weeks is the reopening of the community center. What we plan on doing there. I think, well, in closed session, there will be a discussion about the possible of the staff. So hopefully after that discussion, we'll have a better idea of what we can do moving forward. I will say that I did have a phone call from Sheridan Litton at the hospital. Just, she called, said, listen, this isn't a complaint, this is just a general concern. You know, she has about 6 staff members that were active members of the fitness center that unfortunately with their schedules, the timeline didn't work out for them being able to come down to work out. And for her, under the current circumstances, their health and well-being is the top priority for her. And I know the pickleball group, even though they've got the new courts, they know it's going to be short-lived, but they're really hoping to be able to do something inside in the near future. But at the end of the day, depending on what happens with the current staff issue, I mean, it's the only way possible to keep that facility open, or to open the door more moving forward, would be to have a staff member there to be able to control it. So with that being said, is there any questions?
The operational plan for the arena,
Yep.
I'm sure it's available online or on or at the office?
Once we get the final
Once it's
version.
finalized, it will
Yeah.
will be available online? Yeah,
Yep,
sure.
I'll make sure Amy's got a copy so she can put it out, and we'll also put it out.
Any idea when that might be?
This week.
This week? Awesome.
It'll happen before we open.
Yeah, great.
So if we
Of
look
course,
at,
yes.
if we look at opening on Thursday or Friday, then we'll make sure that it's out there before then.
Good.
So,
Everybody wants to know what's expected of them, so.
yep. But people can expect, I mean, Premier Higgs is gonna make masks mandatory, so everyone can expect that they're gonna have to wear a mask.
Yep.
From the time you come in, they're not gonna have to wear a mask on the ice, but entering the facility through all the common areas, in the dressing room while you're getting ready, as soon as you get ready to get your helmet on to go out on the ice, take your mask off, go out on the ice. But as soon as you re-enter the dressing room after you're done playing or game, whatever it might be in the situation, take your helmet off, mask goes back on until you leave.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty simple.
Just a comment, the kids seem to love it up there. I know there's been kids going up there quite a bit, playing basketball
The
and stuff.
basketball, yeah.
Just loving it.
Absolutely. And on that note, I should say that on Friday morning, we had a group of kids at the basketball come over from the school, as well as the pickleball group. There was quite a bit of a dew that morning, and we learned very quickly that I think next year we're going to try to find a little bit of room in the budget for a little bit of a walkway along the edge of the fencing, where there was a lot of dirt and sand and gravel tracked onto the new court off people's shoes. So if we can put some type of an asphalt walkway or concrete, whatever's the best or most feasible, certainly something that we should look at. Absolutely.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Twelve-one building bylaw, third reading by title only and enactment.
Point of information, Mr. Mayor. Request for information. Going back to my comments about the minutes of last meeting and having our presentation by the two people on the building bylaw and the animal bylaw, and regarding your comments that we should take these into consideration, with my understanding that I would be getting a call probably on a Wednesday, for a meeting on a Wednesday with Manzer, our building inspector, to review those concerns, see if there's something valid we want to put in there. But to date, that hasn't happened. Therefore, if we're planning to go through these readings until that has been addressed, then I certainly can't support or agree to a yea vote.
I think it probably should be tabled again, myself.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, before a motion is made to table, I certainly understand that. I would think everybody should get a response. In particular, we're talking about the response for Nora Davidson.
And there's been other letters. too.
Yeah, what's that?
There's been other letters.
Yes, I
Yeah.
noticed that today in
Yeah.
particular, so, anyway, which is valued, of course.
Yeah.
But I think a response from our lawyer to Nora Davidson about his findings might be in order. And then she has a response.
don't think Joel really had
Well,
the
we-
response. I mean, we thought it was gonna come from Mansard.
Nope.
It's more his area. I mean, Joel said it was legal, everything was legal.
Yes,
But as far as an answer to the questions, it wasn't.
but on the other hand as well, I don't think it's Mansard's duty to answer any political questions as well, so. And that's what
I don't
our
know
lawyer
if-
found that it was, so.
They're just questions on stuff that's in the bylaw. I mean,
And also, it's important to note that this is not Mansard's first kick at the can in writing bylaws, and he's been batting 1,000, so he knows what he's doing.
and he might have all the answers to it, but nobody's providing them to us. That's the thing for me. He might have the answers, and that'd be great. Maybe it doesn't have to be changed one bit, but
We didn't have that meeting. There hasn't been due process.
Well, Councillor Cheney, the way we did it is the first one was too late to get together with Manzer and Deputy Mayor Sturgeon's been away for the last couple of weeks.
And I
So
understand that, and
there's
he'll
3
be away
Wednesdays
for a
gone.
couple more weeks. So let it ride until we can all get together,
But,
have that process.
yeah, go through the process.
So what are you making a motion, Councillor Cheney?
I'm making a motion that we don't go further with these bylaws until the bylaw committee is met, address those concerns by those that presented, and have a discussion with our building inspector. And if after that meeting, I think we go forward to the next step.
Yep.
It's a long motion, but
just for clarity, Mr. Mayor, when he says these bylaws, he's talking about the building bylaws in particular, because that's what we're dealing with at the
Right.
immediate moment,
Yeah.
right? I just want to be clear on that, that's
I
all.
believe
So,
that's what he's.
there's two, but there's a building bylaw and the animal control bylaw.
yeah, but that is
Just a minute, let's
that's the
just-
next item,
Let's just
though.
deal with one first.
Yes.
Well, then it's 12-1, building bylaw.
So you heard Councillor Cheney's motion. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. All those in favor?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. How long does he want to table it? There was no timeline that I heard.
Until you're available and we can have the meeting.
Okay.
He didn't mention the word table. He said, look at it or go with it.
Okay, I just want to be clear on the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay.
So any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, the reason, Councillor Cheney, I was saying to deal with them one at a time. I have talked to the councillors, and what I'm getting is they would like to separate the dog bylaw away from the animal control bylaw. Am I right on that?
It's
I
something that-
never heard of the idea until you mentioned it.
But it was something that was discussed, Mr. Mayor. It's an option,
Was
I
that
think, more
discussed
than
in a
anything.
meeting type of deal? or is that-
It's just more correspondence, which you were all part of, I believe, because I make it a point to answer. Well, I push reply all, but, so,
I never got anything about it until Mr. Mayor.
I mentioned it to you and Councillor Cheney over
Yeah,
there in the
right
ring.
there.
Did you
I'll-
think it was a good idea, was the way I said.
I think it needs some discussion.
yeah. I think, Mr. Mayor, it's an option
Yeah.
that was discussed with, certainly with Councilor Morris. I believe I included you all. If I did not, that's certainly my apologies, because that was my intent.
Right, so I never,
Yeah.
we never knew, and even Burke didn't know, Councilor Cheney never knew anything about it.
But the thing is about this, I personally, yeah, I think it needs some tweaking, you know, what we do have so far. I think a little more clarity needs to be made with council members on what is scheduling and what can be, because it's a lot easier to adjust scheduling versus the complete bylaw. And so if we do some tweaking, we work at it, it'll take a few months. But if we're going to start from scratch, as Sam took the time to speak to us last month, and in her opinion, which this is her opinion, she feels that that animal control bylaws are week in Canada, period. That's what I understood. That Grand Manan can be that shining example of getting it right. Well, all honesty, that's going to take time. And it's going to be expensive. It'll take several months, in my opinion, in order to start from scratch. And so I ain't saying it can't be done, but if we're going to start from an animal bylaw, especially from scratch, it's going to take some time. That's all. So.
Why is it expensive?
Well, because we'll have experts like Manser, for example, who's been involved in the field, knows what can be done, what can't be done. Of course, our lawyer's going to be involved and such like that. And of course, council will meet.
It's going to be anyway.
Yeah, and council, of course, or the committee members will meet. And I think in this particular subject matter, because of the great interest shown by all of council, it would require all of council to make sure that everybody feels that they're involved in the discussion and part of the solution. So it's going to take some time. It's nothing that's going to take over just a few months and a few meetings. It's going to take a long time if we go down this road. That's
Well,
all.
let's do it right. I mean, at least we're going to be considering our options.
Oh, absolutely. I said we should consider our options.
Oh, definitely.
And as the
They took the time to have the meetings and stuff and write all these ideas up. I mean, you gotta.
yeah. So anyway, it's just I think all options should be explored.
Yeah.
But however, on the other hand, to be frank, if I may, whenever you introduce change, no matter how small that change is, there are some that will not accept that change. If that's just the way of it, and not just about this; it's about anything. I mean, so anyway, we've got to be prepared for that as well. So.
Deputy Mayor Sturgeon, I agree that probably all council should be involved, and I do, because of our reduced membership here, probably we all should be on the bylaw committee. I don't see where it's going to be an expensive operation. As you may detail, we have in that bylaw dogs and animals. So there's a lot of information that's been made up to date. So we separate the dogs and the animals. I can't see the big difference other than it's going to address dogs, which is one great thing, and also animals. So I think it's a good idea to split them, but I can't see where it was going to take a whole lot of money.
Well, it's just that I'm going by, once again, the lady who took the time to make a presentation to council. She said that they're generally in Canada they're weak, and she'd like for us to do it right, which we all want to do it right. But the more involved you take time to do things, the more it's going to take time. Simple as that.
And Deputy Mayor, are you suggesting that we do not read entirety the animal control bylaw tonight?
No, certainly not at this time. I don't believe we're prepared at all.
Very good.
From the concerns that have been brought forward.
Thank you.
I think we should take our time
Yeah.
and do it right. I mean,
Yeah, no,
get things done
I think
right.
we're all in
If it
agreement
ta-
in
If
that.
it takes 4 months, if it takes whatever,
Yeah,
do it and get it right.
that's right. So, I don't know how long to post. I like for us, it's going to take some time. That's it.
Oh, definitely.
So, to be honest with you, I hate to say this, but even if we postpone it for 60 days, I don't believe we're going to be
No,
prepared.
No, it's going to take,
So,
especially lobster season's coming up.
well, this
People
is,
aren't going to be around.
and also in the
So-
emails, I know that Councillor Cheney, I'm very busy for the next 2 months. I know Councillor Cheney, a valued member of the committee, is very busy as well, he expressed, and
Not a lot
we're all
of
very
efficient.
passionate about this, and we all want to do it right, so.
So
Are
probably
we
we just,
taking on anybody from the from the community to help out with this? Are we going to?
Once again, this is an option, but however, once again, be frank, it can't be just anybody. Someone's got to be a proper temperament and understand that when you do talk about things in committee, it's like cabinet confidentiality. And if something is not going your way, it should not be on Facebook within the hour, if I may be frank.
you're making it so complicated, probably we should leave it for the next council.
It might very well be an election issue. I don't
Amen.
want it to be.
Amen, Mr. Mayor.
But however, we all want to do things right.
I think we can get it done before then.
Well, I'd like for it to be.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it may take that long.
Whatever it
So
takes.
I don't think there should be any time frame put on it.
Yes,
As soon as possible or
yeah,
in a reasonable amount of time.
sure. I agree.
Could we maybe put 6 months on it, just so we don't keep punting it so far down the road, we lose sight of it completely? Because I do think that there is a value to getting it done, but maybe we come back in 6 months if we're not ready before then, and just have a review of where we are. Is
If
that-
it's done in 4 months, I believe we can,
Bring it back
yeah,
then.
we can bring
But-
it back as a council.
But I do
Yeah.
think at the 6-month mark, we ought to at least have a discussion about where we are. And I do think there would be a benefit, even if we just took our existing dog bylaw, took those words out of it, and just looked at the animal control pieces that we've added to it. I think it might not be as complicated as what we think it's going to be, just to look at them separately.
But once again, I said it all depends on how in depth we want to go on this thing. If we're going to talk about a little bit of tweaking, then that could be accomplished in a few months' time. But if we're talking about doing something completely from scratch, that's considerably more time. That's reality.
One thing you want to remember, both of those, the way they are, was complaint driven. That's the
Absolutely.
reason the things are in there.
That's why they're
There's the
there.
complaints.
Yeah.
That was coming in on it.
Yeah. Is there a limit on how long we can table something? I'm not aware of that, that's myself, so. Or can we just leave it open-ended?
I'd leave it open.
Leave it
I
open.
don't mind Bonnie's suggestion in 6 months.
If we're done sooner, we come back, but.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I concur. 6 months. If it's ready beforehand, that's fine.
Yeah, we can do that. I believe we can do that, anyway. Okay,
6 months is April.
that's right. And guess what happens in May? Anyway, it's all good.
So we need a motion for that.
Mr. Mayor, as the chair, I guess I feel it's my responsibility that we table this for up to 6 months. That way there, if it's done earlier, then we can address it earlier. So,
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
A
I'll
second?
second.
Seconded by, who did I hear? Councillor Worthen. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 13. General Operating Fund. Approval to pay the following invoice. Troy Life and Fire Safety Inspection Work, $2,715.15. Silk Stevens CD Monitoring Site, $4,414.92. And Deluxe Office Supplies, $2,468.10.
I would, go ahead.
go ahead.
I would move to pay the aforementioned invoices from the general operating fund.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have it seconded by Councillor Sturgeon? Question?
Question, Mr. Mayor. Silk Stevens on the C&D site monitoring, that's something quarterly that they do to see that everything is up to, 3 times a year, to see that everything's up to snuff? And
Yeah, so it's very extensive water monitoring and,
right.
they go up and take samples or something, drill
Yeah.
them.
yeah,
I've seen them up there.
yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 13.2, General Capital Fund, Englobe Corp. Asset Management, $7,993.65. Funding Fence Limited Pickleball Basketball Courts, $18,607. Silk Stevens Limited Pickleball Basketball Court, $3,363.75.
I'll make a motion to pay.
I'm quite curious what Silk Stevens
$3,363.75 is for.
I'll move, to put that on the table, I'll make a motion that we pay the invoices. Another question.
We have a seconder.
No, that would be next.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You moved it, we've got to have a seconder.
Correct.
I'd like for Councillor Cheney to repeat that if I may. I didn't quite catch that.
I'm saying I'll make a motion that we pay the aforesaid invoices from the general capital fund.
Okay, thank you. I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Question?
I'm wondering what the invoice for Silk Stevens, $3,363.75 is for. I know that it says pickleball basketball courts. I don't understand what they do,
Well, they monitor the work that's been done
right?
and certify that it was done to plan. Kurt would know more better than,
But it hasn't been done to plan.
On that question, I can't see where it's been done to plan, or why we should pay anyone for looking over the project if we've got a baseline of a pickleball court on one end of 9'6" and the other one of 5'8". Now, there's something not jiving here. I would like to see the plans that put this in jeopardy of serving from the baseline of on the pickleball court compared to whatever drawings are out there to be monitored, because there's a mistake here.
You feel things have been changed, the plans have been changed somewhat. Because we believe that the first plans, the pickleball court is wider, and it ends up quite a bit shorter than what we expected.
So to pay someone for an error, in my opinion, I can't say yes to that invoice at this time. The Fundy fencing, pickleball, basketball courts. Mr. CEO, you sent out a letter today, an email regarding Simply Systems, Simply Fence. So this would be in addition to that item.
no, this is for pickleball post and the basketball hoops.
Okay.
and
This
that
was
type
done
of stuff.
earlier.
So that is separate from the issue that we're dealing with the
Yeah,
25,000.
yeah.
Okay. That 18,000, that would have probably have been approved and recommended for payment by our consultant? In other words, before it comes to you, it comes to our consultant, who is a project manager, who says, I've reviewed, I recommend, therefore issue the money.
Yeah. I talked to him on the phone. I haven't got any,
I believe that was for the posts,
The
for the
posts.
pickleball
Yeah.
and the nets and the basketball.
The basketball hoop, the
Yep,
basketball
yep.
backboard,
Yes.
and all that. Yeah, that's fine.
That stuff's already been.
As long as that 18,607 has been approved and recommended for payment by our consultant.
well, I recommended, I talked to Chris that it was where it was supposed to be
Okay.
and whatever, that's,
So that's a bona fide payment then?
I certainly say it is, yes.
Yes, good, okay. So the only one I'm questioning is $3,363.75 for monitoring the progress of a mistake at this point. Why wasn't it caught, I don't know. So there has to be some more investigation on that, and that payment before I would okay that, personally.
Any other questions?
So are we changing the motion to approve the invoices?
I think we would have to approve Englobe Corp. I guess I made the motion.
Yes, we can make a friendly amendment if the mover and the seconder. they both
My
agree.
friendly amendment would be that we pay Englobe Corp. Asset management fee of $7,993.65 and Fundy Fencing pickleball basketball courts for $18,607.
And I would concur with that.
So it's been moved by Councillor Cheney, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. We've already had the question. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Transfers requiring a motion. We need to transfer $7,993.65 from the gas tax to the general capital fund.
I would make that motion.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
A second?
Seconded by Councillor Worthy. Question?
And what is, this is usually for,
This
to
is
cover
just-
something.
It's just to cover the bills you just paid, so
Okay,
except
very
you would
good, thank
make the first two and not the third one where you didn't pay the third
Okay.
one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Transfer $18,607 from the gas tax fund to the general capital fund.
I would move to make that transfer.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Cheney. Question?
And what's that for? That's for the,
If that's
Oh,
to-
Fundy
that's
fencing.
to
yeah,
cover
that's
your
for fundy fencing.
Yeah.
I get you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 14-3, we don't do that.
Great.
So 15, we go into closed session for personnel, for fitness center staff, financial snowplow tender, financial transfer station paving, property transfer station surplus request for proposals. That's that trailer.
I would move we go into closed session.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Order after being in closed session, and we were in there for personnel, fitness staff, financial snowplow tender, financial transfer station paving, and station surplus property at the transfer station. So the first item is personnel for the fitness center.
I would move that we direct the CAO and the rec director to look at continuing the operation of the fitness center and reopening the community center. And we will evaluate this during budget time. But we would approve the funds to continue to do that until then.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Financial is the snowplow tender for the village properties.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we go with the lowest bidder in each of the tenders.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon that we go with the lowest bidder in each one? And there was 4 of them, so.
Yep.
So do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Financial transfer station paving. There was 3 bids that come into it, for it.
I'd make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we take the lowest bid.
You heard the motion by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our surplus property at the transfer station, which is the old trailer.
I would move that we accept the proposal for the old trailer at the transfer station.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our next regular council meeting is at the Manan Community Center on Monday, November the 2nd, 7:30 p.m.
Move to adjourn?
Councillor Morse has moved that we adjourn. Do we have a
Second.
seconder? Seconder, we got 2 of them. We'll go with Deputy Mayor Sturgeon.